Now, why the stability factor in calculation of the stability of the vessel because of the overturning due to the wind load or the seismic load. So this y greater than 1.5, it means that it is the vertical column is sufficiently stable and there is no need to provide the anchor bolts. So if the value of stability factor is 1.5, then there is no need to provide the anchor bolts because the vessel weight itself is sufficient. It will not overturn because of the application of the wind force. And if the FC is negative, then the column has to be anchored to the concrete foundation to resist the overturning capacity. कहीं उलट न जाए, कहीं uproot न हो जाए. Overturn capacity of the bending moment due to the wind load or because of the seismic load. So now calculate the load on each bolt. So P load, P bolt, that is nothing but FC minimum into A upon N. FC into the area upon the N, where area which is equal to pi into S into B, and where S is the average radius of the bearing plane. S is the average radius of the bearing plane. Area which is pi SB, and S is nothing but the average radius of the bearing plane. So from this I can calculate the stresses, that is the bolt load upon the area because of the cross-sectional area of the bolt. And from this we can calculate the number of bolts required. Area of the bolt, that will be calculated by using the 1 upon NFB into bracket 4M upon DB minus W. If the self-supporting tower subjected to the wind or seismic load as well as the other bending loads are held in position by anchor bolts, the moment produced by the lateral load try to overturn the tower while the weight of the vessel try to hold the tower down on its foundation. Weight of the vessel ही इतना strong है वो कि वो कुछ भी धक्का लग जाए, either wind का या फिर seismic load का कुछ फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है. It becomes strong and it will become stable. So while selecting a number of anchor bolts, the minimum number of the bolts used are 8 bolts, generally they are preferred, or 4 bolts, and in turn multiples of the 4 that will be used. The bolts smaller than 25 mm should not be used, so minimum is the 25 mm bolts that will be preferred. Then do not space the bolts closer. Bolt spacing, दो bolts के बीच में का spacing जो कुछ है, that should not be more than 600 millimeter. So area for the anchor bolt, that is calculated as 1 upon NFB into bracket 4M upon DB minus W. So anchor bolt circle diameter, that is the minimum. The next is the bearing base ring. So base ring, that is to be calculated. The bottom part of the tower skirt is provided with a plate sufficiently wide for distributing the direct load to the supporting beam or the concrete foundation. So this is the compressive load that will act on the base ring, and this is WC base ring, which is equal to 4M upon pi dsk plus W upon the pi dsk. So the width of the tower base ring, which is equal to WB, which is equal to WC base ring upon FC. FC is the allowable bolt load on the concrete, that is kgs per centimeter square, and the minimum base plate width calculated above can be increased to provide the space for for the width and the bolt. So the thickness of the base ring that is to be calculated by using this formula B, which is equal to 3 times HC dash upon F base ring raised to the 0.5. So the thickness of the base ring and the thickness of the skirt that is to be calculated in the designing of the skirt support.